and welcome to DeepDive Talent Insights and Analytics channel. This is I Think I Love My Job. Welcome to I Think I Love My Job. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining. I am so happy to have you. I am Kalifa Oliver, the resident expert in all things employee experience here at DeepDive. What are we going to talk about today? Missing data. Let's talk about it. In any listening program or assessment program that's related to the employee experience, think of things like annual surveys, engagement surveys, exit surveys, etc. What you get is a lot of focus on response rates, and that's fair, right? Because you want to make sure that you have a representative sample. Typically in businesses, you can hope maybe to get about 30% so that you feel comfortable and you can breathe. In most cases, a lot of leaders like the idea of 50 or more percent, and then you really push a survey, you can get up to 90% response rates. But a typical organizational survey, we are easily talking about 10 to 15% because that's just the way it goes, right? In a previous episode, we talked about people are making decisions about where to put their cognitive energy, their time, and those finite resources that they have, including their attention, and they make a decision as to what they want to do, especially related to surveys and parts of listening programs. So what you end up with a lot of times is missing data, especially when your response rates are low. And so one of the things I want to address here is talk about what does missing data mean? Does it mean anything? So the short answer, no. Leave missing data alone. You don't have it. There could be so many reasons for why data is missing. You cannot make big inferences as to why that data is missing. You can make some guesses. You can make educated guesses. You can look at trend data and see if maybe you could have an idea of what may have happened. But from a statistical and a factual perspective, you don't know. You just don't know. And stop trying to place value on what you don't know. Data could be missing from people not taking a survey for several reasons. They didn't get a communication. They forgot about the communication. They were busy working, and so they saw it, but the time passed and they just didn't think about it again. It could have been they were about to take the survey and walked away for a little bit. It could be they hate you and they hate the organization, and so this is their protest. It could mean any and all of those things. It could mean something happened with your program. It could be the data didn't collect for some reason. It could just be something as much as they didn't hit send when they were finished with the survey. It could mean so many different things. And so making these value propositions for why people didn't answer, it is useless. Don't do it. Stop. If you are really worried, especially if you do an identified survey and you're really worried about who didn't take your survey. So for example, it's identified, so you're able to track demographics as to who didn't take your survey. It might be good for follow-up research to kind of try to figure out, okay, well, why didn't you take the survey? If there are certain groups that don't appear to be taking the survey, it might be good from a DEI perspective. Well, is there certain group that's just not taking a survey, and what does that potentially mean? At the end of the day, missing data is more of a future or additional research question than it is something that you can hang your hat on in the meantime. Now, that said, the other thing and the other reason I tell people to stop being so focused on missing data is because there was obviously a group of people who took their time and their energy and their attention to answer your survey. Take a look at what they said. Understand the value in what the people who are talking to you said. When you are so busy pining over the people who decided for whatever reason not to take your survey, you're ignoring a lot of the people who did take it. And I've seen a lot of organizational leaders and organizations make this mistake. They're so focused on why people didn't take the survey, they almost dismiss the people who did take it. And so all that's going to happen next time, because of the inaction or the excuses that you may have made, what ends up happening at that point is that some of those people who were survey takers are now going to move into your missing column. Missing data, you can only speculate, especially in listening programs. Don't try to assign a value to it. You don't have it. Leave it alone. If your response rate is too low, try again. Maybe you need to extend the time for the survey. Maybe you need to figure out how to get some of the people in your front line to answer. Maybe you shouldn't be asking a survey. Maybe what you really needed is a focus group. There are other things that you have to think about, but you cannot focus on missing data as a point. It is easy to say, well, you know what? The truth is, because so many people didn't take the survey, that really tells us something. It could, or it could not. It might. And when it comes to listening and statistics, it might means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Now, in statistics, we could look at missingness in data. So missingness in data is really like when you're doing advanced modeling, like in structural equation modeling. When we talk about missingness in data, we are talking about the idea that in the data itself, that you're looking at the patterns of missingness. And so it's looking across the rows and it's looking across the columns to see what patterns are in the data and predict what the pattern would mean. That is very different from missing data as related to response rates. Right? So it's inferring this is what this data may say based on the data we do have, but it's not inferring that this is what additional people may see. Now, a lot of people run simulations based on sampling to try to figure out what it might mean for the population. That happens a lot. But again, statistically, that type of modeling is not the same as just assigning a value as to why people did not take the survey or did not respond to your tool. So, in summary, missing data is just that. It's missing. Don't assign a value to it missing. That's just what it is. It should be more of a future research project. It should spark thought about what you can do to continue to improve response rates based on factors that could potentially help it, which could even be just an additional communication from a leader who might just be a charismatic leader who tends to drive behaviors that people really respond to. So, tell me more about missing data. Like, how do you look at it? What do you do with it? What do you think about it? What have you heard about it? I'm always happy to hear from you. Leave it in the comments. Let's talk. And you know how to find me. Find me here. Find me on LinkedIn. You can find me wherever. And don't forget, if you like what you're seeing and you like this show and what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe. I am looking for you. I'm always happy to see the little alert. Just give me some joy with that alert. And as always, there is always room to have a brilliant experience. Bye.